Cheers from Japan, I'm the Tokyo Toy Bastard, and hey, today I want to talk about some of my favorite movies of all time, specifically the ones that actually had toy lines that were released after the movies, or in conjunction with the movies, but not always. So first, I'm going to talk about my most favorite movie of all time, and I'm working my way backwards. So my favorite movie of all time is Star Wars, Ewok Adventure, Caravan of Courage. It's my favorite movie of all time because I like Ewoks more than anything in the world. Okay, I'm joking. I do like Ewoks. It's not my favorite movie. Thought I'd throw you for a loop there. Gotcha. You knew I was lying. All right, so these are in no particular order all up until like the last couple movies, and I'm not including movies that didn't have any toys produced afterwards. And you know, they make a lot of like statues and modern toys these days of some movies, but there were a few movies that I wanted to choose that didn't have any toys at all, and some I wanted to save for a different genre video. So I'm not including any Dragon Ball, Godzilla, or Gamera stuff in here because I cover those all the time. So this is going to be just my top 10 favorite films of all time that have toys released in and around the time that these movies were released. Okay, so first we're going to start off with Peewees Big Adventure, which was Tim Burton's first theatrical film. I'm actually a big fan of Pee Wee Herman. I think he's hilarious. And this movie is just a masterpiece of comedy and wackiness, and it is everything that I love about Pee Wee Herman kind of combined into one with the flavor of Tim Burton. And hey, Godzilla and King Ghidorah make an appearance in this movie. And I've been a fan of Pee-wee's Playhouse since I was a kid. I still watch it sometimes with my kids. And I do have a vintage Pee-wee with his scooter, which is actually from the TV show. In the movie, he has a red bicycle, but I always loved his like little brain helmet, and it's pretty cool. This was made by Matchbox in the late '80s, I believe, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Love me some Pee-wee. Herman, that is. Whoop. All right, up next. Unfortunately, I don't like the cover of this. I wish I had the VHS version, but this is another top favorite movie that I absolutely love and have memorized every single line from, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990 original film. And this is an Australian release with a weird hand-drawn cover, but you can see in the back this is the original 1990 film. And I love everything about this movie. This is a flawless movie, in my opinion. Of course, I was a fan of the Ninja Turtles with the animated series before that it came out, and I had all the Turtles toys, and I have all the original Turtles Wave toys, and I've got the Party Wagon and all that. We got a bunch of mint on card ones, but I'm not going to take those down, so I just brought a couple examples of the original line. These came out obviously before the movie did, but the movie Turtles look pretty terrible, although I'm currently trying to get the 4-pack NECA box set. Apparently Wish.com has them for like $75 or something, because they're going up to like $200 now. But you know, always love these original toys. And when I think of that movie, I also still think of these, because these are the ones I played with when I saw the movie. I remember being just going to see like Little Mermaid or something, and they played the trailer for Ninja Turtles, and it had completely different voices than the version that came out, and it also had like some wacky soundtrack. But I love that trailer. Go look up that trailer, the original 1990 trailer. It's great, and I remember getting chills when I saw that thing. And yeah, great movie. Also, this was released the same year, or was this the year before? They were both made around the same time. They were both produced around '89, so I believe this was released in '89. But this is the original, back to Tim Burton Batman film with Jack Nicholson as Joker and Michael Keaton as Batman. Keaton's still my favorite Batman. I do like Batman Returns, but it looks too in studio. I love the atmosphere of this movie, and this is still the one that I always go back to when I want to rewatch a Batman movie. I also do collect Batman toys, specifically Michael Keaton Batman stuff. You can see one over here standing on a beer can with the wings open, which was based on a Silverhawks toy that they just changed it to Batman. I'll show you the one I'm talking about right here. this one. So, wish I had a Silverhawks to compare it with, but the gimmick was, you know, he opens his arms. But yeah, Kenner made a line of toys called Silverhawks, and this was just a resculpted, repurposed version of that. I've got the one of the first wave Batmans. Both Toy Biz and Kenner produced toys. This one's got the belt that comes out and retracts, and he's got his Batarang thing. And I've also got a repaint color of Joker. I like the colors on these. And his minion Bob. I love the Bob figure. He doesn't get enough love. He's got that little Joker logo on there. Well, Batman just kicked the bucket. That's alright. Alright, so that's, yeah, Batman. Amazing. Up next, this is also one I can quote every word from, and this came out in 1993, and that movie is Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park, yeah, it's the 3D version, but I just watched the regular version. Jurassic Park changed my life as a kid. It got me reading. It was not much for books, but when that movie came out, I was actually scared to go see it. Saw it with my grandpa, and was obsessed immediately after that. Went and bought the book. I was in 4th grade, so that book was pretty hard to understand at the time. But I've actually got a copy of it over there. Just don't want to knock a bunch of Godzilla stuff that's standing on it down to grab it. You know what it looks like. The book also was amazing, and it freaked me out. It was a lot more violent than the movie. But I did my best to try to understand all the science and stuff in the book. And I've read the book 3 or 4 times now since I've grown up. And yeah, that movie is just amazing. There are a lot of like little things that are wrong with it though, like little bits. I'm sure you can find videos about that on YouTube. That makes it more interesting. I like to look out for those things. And I've got my original Jurassic Park Explorer here. Oh, I found Bob's gun on the floor. I've got Alan Grant, Ian Malcolm, Ellie Sattler sitting inside. We've got the original Velociraptor with the biting action. There's choppers flying around. They're on to me! It doesn't work as well as it used to. Yeah, anyway. Got the Dilophosaurus over there somewhere too. And I got the Junior T-Rex with the Dino Damage, which I got this in a trade from my friend Jonathan Crosetti. So thank you, Jonathan. He's missing the part there. I had the adult T-Rex when I was younger, and it goes for like hundreds of dollars now, even loose. I loaned it to my cousin, my little cousin, to play with it, and he cut its head off with scissors. So I no longer have that in my collection, unfortunately. But yeah, Jurassic Park. If you haven't seen it, what were you doing? And there are people that haven't seen it. Okay, up next. Again, these are not in a specific order. These are all pretty equal as far as how much I love them. But up next is my favorite Star Wars movie, and it's not Caravan of Courage. It is The Empire Strikes Back, which is in a lot of people's favorite Star Wars category. And this is this was the special DVD release that had the original theatrical cut on it. And these are kind of pricey now because they never released the official one. So yeah, this movie's amazing. I have it on Blu-ray too, but I've loaned that to my friend Oliver from Ollie Imported. And he hasn't watched it yet. Well, he's watched it, but he hasn't watched since I loaned it to him. Oliver, watch it and give it back to me, man. So, Empire Strikes Back. Before I show you the toys here, I love this movie so much that I bought this book was like over $100. The Making of The Empire Strikes Back. And this book is just full of just treasure troves of information. Like, I love watching the making of movies, but having books that show things that are so in depth that you couldn't get from a documentary. It's just, you know, I love having books like this. I'll show off my book collection at some point. I have a lot of books that showcase the making of movies. A lot of them are Godzilla movies, Gamera movies, Star Wars, Jackie Chan. I got a lot of books about prototypes, a lot of books about toys. You know, I'll showcase them. I'll showcase a few in this video. That's one of them. But I'm going to give 3 of my favorite, most iconic figures from Empire Strikes Back. Technically, one of them's from the original Star Wars line, but who cares? So we got Darth Vader, telescoping lightsaber, Boba Fett, and Bespin Luke with Yoda on his back. And yeah, you know, I love the Empire Strikes Back figure line. I've got an entire shelf over there just Empire Strikes Back figures. What can you say? Empire Strikes Back. It's an amazing movie. Okay. I don't think there's anything about that I want to talk about. You know, Star Wars is redundant at this point. Next. This movie came out in 1984 when I was 2, and I saw it just a couple years later because my grandparents, or my uncle, who also lived with my grandparents because he was still a teenager, rented it. And that movie would be Gremlins, the original. I love Gremlins 2 as well, but I'm just going to talk about the first one. I actually watched Gremlins 2 with my kids a few weeks ago, and they absolutely loved it. They're a little bit scared of this one, though, and this one is a bit darker, but yeah, this is another movie I can quote everything. It just got that old, like, it just the old neighborhood, and it's in the snow, it's at Christmas time, and you've got all these little monsters running around, cute, great, creepy, gross practical effects. You know, it's just a classic. It's just a great movie. And I hear they're making a prequel animated movie now, and possibly a reboot, but man, we just want Gremlins 3. But even if that sucks, all you need is this and part 2. And I have quite a Gremlins collection. I've got a giant Stripe figure up there, vintage from 1984, which is maybe slightly off camera, but it's buried behind all kinds of stuff. Didn't want to grab him down. So I grabbed my little rubber bendy Stripe and my soft vinyl gizmo. And yeah, I've got a lot of miniature Gremlins toys as well, but Gremlins, I'm also a collector of Gremlins. Gremlins is a fantastic film. Up next, same year, 1984, also starts with a G. I actually have a magazine, a Starlog magazine, that features both of these movies and Godzilla 1984 all in one, and don't want to take it down. It's mounted on the wall. But that movie would be Ghostbusters Part 1. This is definitely my top 3, like top 3 favorite films ever. Ghostbusters is amazing. The atmosphere of the music, like the theremin that they use, and all the amazing special effects, and all of the characters with their dry humor and improv, and the suits, the backpacks, the creatures. Man, it's just a great movie. Part 2 is also great, just not as good, but still amazing, and I'm very excited for Part 3. I actually did an entire retrospective of Ghostbusters toys in a previous video, which I'll link somewhere in here. I had a camera focusing problem, but I showcased pretty much most of my Ghostbusters collection. And you can see here I've got the Firehouse, I've got Ecto-1, I've got the 3 main Ghostbusters, Egon's dropped his backpack, and I got Winston in the car with a Ray. Got some. These are all based on the animated series, of course, but you know, the car and the Firehouse are pretty much just like the movie. There were no movie figures made back in the 80s, but I remember I had all kinds of t-shirts and stuff from the movie. But recently there are a lot of action figures and things, and one of my favorites is, I've got a few of these, but I just wanted to show you this one. This is a Playmobil Egon Spangler based on the movie, because the animated series looks nothing like the movie. But yeah, I've got the animated series version of this, and I've got all the other movie versions of these characters, and they're great, really great figures. Yeah, Ghostbusters. I've also got this big giant book of Ghostbusters, the Ultimate Visual History, and this goes through like the production of everything, all the way up to like the modern movies. But it's got like original concept art and storyboards. This book's pretty widely available. I highly recommend picking this book up. It is amazing if you're a Ghostbuster fan. And there's been a documentary in the works about the Ghostbusters first 2 movies, the making of them. That was supposed to be like hyper epic. I think it was shown in some theaters in small numbers, but I've been waiting for it. If you are a Ghostbusters fan, you probably know what I'm talking about. But in the meantime, definitely grab that book. It's amazing. Okay, I think that's all the Ghostbusters I want to talk about here. Yeah. Up next are 2 movies that are very similar. They go kind of hand in hand. They were produced around the same time. Well, this first movie I'm going to show you was produced afterwards, but the material it was based on was produced around the same time as the #1 movie I'm going to show you. And this movie is actually a Japanese anime, the first animated movie I have in here, and that would be Akira. This is a very iconic Japanese animated film. It pretty much made Japanese anime a very serious art form when it, or people looked at anime as a more serious art form rather than like Speed Racer and things when it debuted in the U.S. I believe it debuted in the U.S. Actually, I've got a book here that talks about that too. But the movie itself came out in 88 or 89, and it's based on the manga that came out in the mid 80s until the late 80s, which actually they finished the manga after or during the production of the movie, so the ending's slightly different, which is interesting. But this movie's just gorgeous. It's gory, it's colorful, it's kick-ass. It's just amazing, and it's actually takes place in 2019, which is this year, and it's got amazing bikes. It's got all kinds of cool stuff. I used to have a bigger Akira collection. I had quite a bit of Akira toys. I don't know, I kind of lost interest at some point in collecting them, and the only one I have left now is this Kaneda figure by Yolanda, which is, I believe, from Spain. I collect Yolanda toys. I've got some Ghostbusters. I've got some Batman and some other things by Yolanda. Yeah, Dragon Ball. But yeah, this is the only Kaneda I have. He's kind of goofy looking, but I like it a lot. I'll probably have to go back and buy some more Akira stuff. But here, I want to show you this book, Akira Club. This was produced in Japan, or published in Japan. And it shows a lot of the original artwork for Akira. I'm going to show it to you upside down. How about that? But it also shows, in the back, it shows things that were released during the movie release, like things that you can get at the theater in Japan. It's also got some cool little postcards in here. Let me see here. They have pictures of like the advertisements that were advertising the movie in Japan. They also show, yeah, here's some of the toys that came out. I used to have this Kaneda on the bike. I never actually seen this Tetsuo for sale. And they did later do some more modern Gashapon figures. These were minifigures that were boxed. Okay, here we go. These are some, these are from New York, I believe, promo advertisements. And I love this shot of the Twin Towers with this helicopter that has Akira written on it. And so they promoted it pretty heavily in the U.S., at least in probably Los Angeles and New York, and that's why it got a lot of attention. But man, it is such an epic movie. I was already into anime because of Dragon Ball Z, and when I started getting into anime more, I stopped at Blockbuster often and checked the anime section. And Akira, I believe, was one of the first things I rented. I didn't know much about it, but it had a cool cover, and the name sounded intriguing. And I watched it, and I was pretty freaked out. I was like, what is all this stuff? Like, people getting crushed to death, exploding onto walls, like boobs and girls getting punched in the face, and drugs, and it was not Dragon Ball Z, that's for sure. But I fell in love with it, and since then I've picked up this Blu-ray release of it, and it's great. So yeah, Akira's amazing. If you have never seen Akira, you must watch it. And so, as I said before, Akira kind of ties into this next movie, because this next movie influenced Akira and the way it looks. And you can almost watch them as companion pieces. And you probably might know what I'm talking about already. If you don't, it's Blade Runner. Blade Runner, and I have the 5-disc special edition that has all the different versions, because if you're not aware, there are multiple versions of Blade Runner, different cuts. There's the original theatrical cut, there's the original director's cut, there is the alternate ending cut, and there's the final cut, which is probably the best one. It's got all the restoration, it's got some things fixed, but nothing too noticeable done. There are some things that they could probably fix up, but yeah, any version of this I love watching. I prefer, the version without the dub, where Harrison Ford reads over the film. He doesn't like that version either. Don't blame him. It's not very good. But yeah, this movie was great. And surprisingly, there were toys released, mostly just die-cast cars by Erdl. And I have still not gotten my hands on a Ertl diecast car. But one thing I have gotten my hands on is a Medicom Japanese Blu-ray exclusive police spinner. It's an SD super deformed police spinner, and it's got a pullback mechanism. And I love minifigures, so as much as I want the diecast Ertl toy, like, I love the way that this looks. It's pretty rad. Yeah. I had the Medicom like full size 3 3/4 scale spinner. Also sold that. My kids kept trying to touch it, and I thought it was just going to break, and I didn't have anywhere to put it, and I wish I would have made a video of it before I sold it, but got some good money for it. But I guess I'll probably have to go back and get that too. I don't know what it is with me selling Blade Runner and Akira stuff off. So stupid. And yeah, Blade Runner is an amazing film. It's very slow paced. If you've never seen it before, it's one of those movies that maybe it might take multiple views to appreciate fully. But the special effects are just sublime. And but some people don't like it. They just think it's too slow and boring. But it's all about the visuals and the atmosphere of the movie. It's just gorgeous. It's dark and gorgeous. And Rutger Hauer, who plays Roy Batty, recently passed away, and his character is just also phenomenal. Harrison Ford's character looks cool. He just drinks a lot, and he shoots at some things. That's his character. But just a little special notice here. The sequel, which came out 30 years after the original recently, Blade Runner 2049. I actually love both of these movies almost equally. They did a great job of kind of making this look and feel just like the original. Still got Harrison Ford. Some characters come back. There are a lot of new characters. It just looks and feels amazing. If you have not seen this yet, watch it. You will not be disappointed. And it actually moves, a long movie, but it actually feels like it moves a bit faster. There are lots of long, beautiful cuts, but I think this story is a little bit easier to catch, especially if you've seen the first one. But yeah, that's it. That's it for my favorite films with toy lines. I will be doing, if you like this one, I will do some other videos where I kind of do some maybe genres, because yeah, there were some like horror movies and kung fu movies and comedies and things that had nothing to do with toys that I wanted to talk about at some point. Well, there goes the beer can on top of Batman. He is definitely dead now. It was a big beer can. It's like a beer can that if you were that Batman, if you're 3 3/4, and a beer can that was the size of a car fell on you, you'd be dead, even if you were Batman. So rest in peace, little Batman. And that'll be it. Let me know if you want to see more, what kind of genres you want to see me talk about, or if you want to see me talk about any more of these toys. That's it. Until next time, watch some good movies, play with some good toys, drink some good beer, and see you later. Here, I was trying to rhyme and watch these. Yeah, that was awkward. Here, let's take a look over here. Subscribe if you haven't. See ya. Bye-bye.